be live right now. So if you guys are joining us, let me know in the chat where you're joining us from, where you're calling from, where you're joining from. What's your experience with acquisitions? Would be great to know as well, just so I know kind of like where to take this call. And if you have questions or suggestions or topics you want me to talk about, let me know as well. I just want to make sure you can hear me and all that. So let me double check that on my end. And it looks like we're supposed to be live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So if you're not following me in one of those platforms, definitely a good idea to go and follow me on all those platforms so you won't miss any of those live streams that we are doing. That I'll try to do more of those. I know we did one last week and people really enjoyed it and had lots of great questions. And you can see the recording, by the way, on my YouTube channel. But in the meantime, until I see some questions and more people are joining us, why won't I share with you some notes that I shared in our community earlier today on my thought process on investing and how I look at the world of investments, buying businesses from where I at right now. I've been in different businesses now, wow, for almost 15 years, and it's pretty insane thinking about it. And remember, the first years, the only goal I had was just make more money, build more income, buy businesses, start businesses. In like, but I never looked at things from a position of an investor. I always looked at things from a position of an entrepreneur, someone who's out there doing the work, doing everything, and not necessarily as someone who's looking to compound his capital to the next level. And when you research the topic of compounding, you'll be astonished by the value that you're getting from your money when it's compounded over time. Like when you're looking at someone like Warren Buffett, the reason that is so wealthy is just because the fact that he's been in the game longer than a lot of other people. Most of the people, and I guess I'm to be blamed to some extent as well, when they're getting to 7 figures in cash, if you have like multiple 7 figures in cash after taxes in your bank account or invested in different assets, like net worth without liabilities, assets without liabilities, there's not much more than you need in order to live a great lifestyle. And when you're looking at someone like Warren Buffett, again, he's been playing in that game. He's in his 90s and he's been compounding his capital more and more and more. And it's really fascinating to see that. So anyway, my thought process, and I've been researching about that lately and just been digging myself into figuring out with myself where do I want to put my capital and how do I want to grow and compound my capital in the next decade, 2, 10, I don't know, for the rest of my life, who knows, right? But I'll share with you my thought process on it right now. So the way that I'm looking at things right now is, first of all, you want to get to some kind of an amount, I think, that will just be much easier to compound. So I think that if you only have like a few $1,000s, I think that your first goal should be to increase your skills, increase your demand. So you will get to a point where you either have enough income and to be honest, like before you're bringing 50, 100,000 a month, I wouldn't even worry about it. So the way that I'm looking at it, the way I'm sharing with my community is do one deal. Just do one deal. That alone can, like, if you're just starting in your journey as an entrepreneur, like one deal, one acquisition, that's what happened to me, literally skyrocket my net worth. Especially if you're having an exit. When you're having an exit, it's like a capital event of like multiple 6 or multiple 7 figures, depends on the size of the business or businesses that you own. And I think that the fastest way to get there is by acquisitions of small businesses, period. There's nothing that is, again, it's not a get rich fast thing, but it's a get rich for sure thing if you're willing to be committed and focused. Because one business that you will buy that is doing at least multiple 7-figure in revenues that you'll eventually sell, will put in your pocket, let's say multiple 7-figure in cash, potentially after taxes, if you know how to structure it well. When you have that amount, then you can play with it and reinvest it back, and then you can think on the world from a point of more of a passive investor. I think that as an investor, it depends on how you want to diversify your portfolio and have your asset allocation in different buckets. But I think the way that I see that, you always want to have some kind of an income that either is coming from investments or from a business that you're running, that maybe you're running for an impact and a lifestyle and something good that you create in the world. But eventually you want to invest in equities, in assets that hopefully appreciate in value over time. And nowadays, pretty much all assets are appreciating in value because there's printing of money like crazy. So if there's more money out there, assets are going to increase in value. The value of the dollar itself or cash itself is going to go down. So if you have a chunk of money that you can play with, like again, 7-figure plus, then you can think about, okay, where do I want to put my money? And that's kind of like where I'm starting to think about things right now. Like, where do I want to have my money at in the next decade? And I can share with you some of my notes. If it will be helpful, and I'll look at some of the chats to see kind of like what you guys saying, and have some questions. I see a question on YouTube. Do you like Minecraft? No, I just heard about it. I've never used it. I think it's a game or something, right? I've literally got no idea what is it. So I'm not even sure. So probably the answer is I don't like or hate it, because I'm not even sure what it is. But I think it's a video game or something like that. No. Let me just share with you some more of my thoughts. So anyway, first of all, with investments moving forward, I know that I want to ask myself, will I own this company or see myself owning this company for the next decade? If the answer is yes, it will move it to the next step. Another question I'm asking myself is, can I see this company cash flow going 5 to 10x in the next 10 years? Yes or no? I'll ask about the moat of the business, right, against competitors. So every moat is coming from the castle, right? Every good castle got to have a moat around it to protect from competitors, from enemies. So I'll ask, I'll look at an investment opportunity. I'll see, okay, will this investment have a moat, business have a moat? What about margin of safety, right? Like, always thinking about your downside. What's your downside? So right now we're investing, for example, we're buying a masonry business. I know I'm going to put some capital in the business. I know my downside is to potentially lose 100% of the money if the business go down. At the same time, I do know that we're going to use SBA loan alongside my investment. So I also know that an SBA, like default on the SBA loans are less than 1%. So that gives me more protection, right? Knowing that there's an SBA loan next to it alongside my money. So I know I'll be more protected. Then about operations, like I want to make sure that the business owner, first of all, is a good person that I can potentially trust, loyal, good, just professional, honest. Easier said than done to know that right away, but I think it's something you definitely want to keep in mind. I want to think and see and make sure that the business actually care about their customers. I want to understand and make sure that they have that in mind, caring about the customers, trying to provide better value, better service to the customers of the business. I know that personally, not only on all investments, but I know that here's the thing, anywhere from 10 to 30% a year on your money compounded over time will give you a great life. Like, you'll build a great wealth for yourself, like I'm thinking about in your 50s, 60s, especially if you're starting from 7 figures. Like, you can't fail if you're not taking, like, if you're not risking everything on like Dogecoin or something, right? So when I have that in mind, like I'm good with 10-30% a year on most of my money, and I know over time compounded it will give me great returns. If you look at some of the best investors in the world, like if they're getting anywhere above index, like above 10-15%, like they're considered as geniuses, literally, and are being able to raise billions of dollars for their funds. So I know that I'm not looking for 100x my money. I'm looking for good returns, 10, 15, 30% with small business. That's kind of like what we're aiming right now with the masonry deal we're closing on. So I know that if I'll be able to compound all of my capital at 30% a year, I'll do really well. So again, for those of you who are just joining us right now, I'm talking to you about the process to build wealth. I think the way that I'm seeing things right now and the way that I suggest our community and clients to do is create a capital event to begin with. You can get there as fast as possible with buying one good business that is profitable, that is a 7-figure business, run it, take income, and then sell it as soon as possible or when you can, ideally for multiple 6 or 7 figures to your bank account, ideally after taxes if you're structuring things well. That's like what I did, how I did that. And then you can start to think about the world in a more passive investment, investor type thing. Because I just think before that, to compound capital, it just not be it just not going to be as attractive. Let's just say that. Yes, you can save $500 a month for the rest of your life and you might have $1 million in your, I don't know, 60s, but I don't think it's as sexy as and attractive as going out there, being an entrepreneur, doing a 7-figure deal and then compounding it, right? I just think it's just a much faster way to get there. And you can do that deal without necessarily having money, right? Again, looking at some of the deals where our clients are doing, and I've been doing in the past, and right now our deal we're closing is a mercenary deal. The entrepreneur is not necessarily putting his money. We are putting money to close the deal, investors' money. I'm putting my money as a passive investor, but not as the active entrepreneur. And I think when you understand that you can leverage other people's money, people who have more money than time, or just want to deploy their capital versus deploy their time, then you understand that you have power and you have a great opportunity. Let me look at some of the questions. Hopefully that's helpful for you guys. Let me know in the questions if that's helpful, and then I'll see some of the questions. Was Dan Pena your first mentor? Not at all. When I met Dan Pena, I already had different businesses for like, so I think I met Dan 6-7 years ago. So it means I already been in different businesses for like 6 or 7 years already before that. What sector do you see emerging as a result of the pandemic shutdown? Good question. I mean, we all see that everything that is going into the online space, obviously healthcare, like Dan Penny is saying all the time, right? I think everything technology, it's just crazy to see that everything is moving to the cloud. Obviously the blockchain space is going to go crazy. Like they're saying that the blockchain space is growing now faster, like double than the rate of the internet. So obviously that's exciting sector. Healthcare and technology, of course, everything going to the cloud. Like you see businesses, the biggest businesses in the world are going remote. So guess what you need when you're a remote business? More softwares and systems when you're on the cloud. And by the way, I'm seeing questions. It's funny. I'm seeing questions from all the different platforms. So if you're not seeing your question, I'll repeat it just so you know the question. So I'm interested in being the person that finds the buyers and sellers of businesses or combine new business entity and make a commission. Yeah, that's great. So if you understand the skills of buying and selling businesses, instead of buying and operating business on your own, you can just connect between business owners. Definitely. But you need to learn the skills first of doing deals, of finding deals, negotiating on deals. And then when you have that skill, you can connect between buyers and sellers and take a cut in commission, in a cash, flat fee, retainer, or in equity. Black says posted some questions in the Facebook group. Cool, I'll get to that. I'm starting with YouTube. I have to leave. Can I watch the replay? Yes, you can, John. How about creating an M&A division? Yeah, if you're a business owner, I think, and you have the capital to deploy or to reinvest back into business, you can always do that. So you can hire someone to do the work for you, someone to help you find deals, analyze deals. But I think either way, you still need to understand the process. If you're not understanding the process, that's how people are getting screwed in this space. That's how people come to me after being in the space for 6 months and tell me, Moran, I wish I knew about you 6 months ago because I spent my life savings and sometimes their family's life savings into business that isn't even a good business, to find out that after they bought the business, they needed to deploy all of their capital just to keep the business alive. So even if you're thinking about even if you're thinking about deploying capital, I would say, or deploying capital for hiring M&A people, make sure you understand the process. Let me go on Facebook a little bit. Chris is asking, when are you targeting your first purchase with the goal of a roll-up? What are some of the main thoughts on what the first needs to be? Well, roll-up in the end of the day is just like what is a roll-up in the end of the day? It's just having more deals. Like a big company is just combination of small companies. A roll-up is just a combination of small acquisitions. That's it. That's what is a roll-up. Just a cool name and something that I'd get people excited to be part of. So my first and best tip for you would be, if you want to have a roll-up, start with one good business. And also just stay focused on that sector, learn everything you can about that, know the nuances, make sure you do your first deal a really good deal, because otherwise you'll get screwed with the future ones. Like, you want to make sure your first deal is profitable, have a good management team in play, and you don't need to turn around the first business, in my opinion, because if you want to do a roll up, your goal should be to focus on doing deals. And when you're buying a first business that isn't necessarily good and profitable, then you know what, it's it's just going to take all of your time to just turn around the business and be involved in the operation, in the seed of the business. So that would be my tip: buy a good profitable business, learn the process of buying a good profitable business, bring in good operations so you can have time to buy more businesses. And in your second, third business, it's all right to bring distressed businesses because you already have good operations to build on. Blake is asking, how do you exit a coaching business? Have you seen anyone do that? Asking for myself. I actually saw someone do that. Someone told me about someone who did that a few months ago. It's very difficult because the business is very much dependent on you, especially if your coaching business is like your name and you're just selling yourself. It is possible. I know someone who did that. It's not as easy. You'll just need to sell that business like any other business to prove to the buyer that the business is not necessarily dependent just on you, and that if the buyer is going to buy the business from you, the business will still run and operate even if you're not necessarily around. And if you can sell that to the buyer, it's going to be easier. And obviously, it's going to be very difficult for you to do if the coaching business is like your name, right? You said like if your coaching business is Black Tovis of I'm not butchering your name .com. It's going to be more challenging than if you have just like a consulting coaching group.com or something like that, right? Like, for example, for me right now, if I wanted to sell acquisitions.com, I could do that. I don't want that right now. For me, acquisitions.com is more of an impact business, and like I'm literally getting fulfillment more than any other business I had. So that's kind of like the way that I see that. But I could definitely sell that if I wanted, because it's not moranpober.com. People, yeah, they're joining for me, but anyone else could probably do that if they have the experience and have the processes. Went to my first event last year and got to $1 million a month in our business shortly after. That's amazing. Good job, man. First event last year. Which event? That's awesome, man. $1 million a month. If you're doing $1 million a month, man, I mean, the business is definitely not dependent just on you. You probably have a team. So it means that you could sell it if you find the right buyer. Let's go back to YouTube. Do you need someone to work for you as a fresh graduate? I just graduated from London and would love to learn from you. I appreciate it, Joseph, but we're not really looking for it at the moment. How many deals you've been able to close on a seller finance, and what sector was it? Actually, most of my deals had some kind of a down payment to begin with, right? All of my deals were mostly technology, media, stuff like that, agencies. What does your course cover? Ahmed, good question. So I don't even like to call what we have a course. It's more of a service where we help you find deals, analyze deals, raise capital, and close deals. And we give you the support constantly. So unlike other courses, we're like, I don't even like a mentorship. Like, we're there with you, for you, to hold your hand throughout the process in any question. It's not like we're just giving you videos and that's it. Videos are part of it, but the biggest value that you're getting by working with us is that you have access to support all the time. It's almost like having your own M&A professional advisor working with you. And if you want to hire an M&A professional full-time to work in your company, it's like 200,000, 250,000 a year minimum salary, $250,000 a year salary. So I think the biggest value that you're getting with us is that we're there with you, alongside you all the time, to hold your hand. And obviously, we give you access to community of people just like you, are either getting started, or we have people who both sold businesses. We have people who run 7, 8, and 9-figure businesses in our community. We're there for you as well. Yeah, we'll share in a bit how you can book a call with us. For those of you who are here already, because you're asked already, I'll post a link on how you can potentially see what we're doing. But yeah, I'll post a link. You can go to acquisitions.com/apply and basically book a call. We'll see where you're at, where you want to be, and see if we can support you or not, if our services can help you or not. Harvey is asking, is buying multi-family properties the same as buying a business? Same structure in terms of getting debt, trying to step up in the space, but have a real estate background. It's very similar, multi-family and buying businesses. First of all, I just like businesses much more because your upside is much more interesting versus a real estate. Like, there's only so much you can fix in a home to increase rent. In a business, you can, like, you don't really hear on real estate multifamily assets increase 10x. In businesses, it's definitely doable if you just have, especially if you have a product that is scalable and repeatable, and clients are being able to retain themselves, and it just matter of more marketing of sales, right? You see a lot of businesses going from 0 to $1 million a year, or to 10 million a year. You don't see multi-family properties going 10x, 100x that fast. And business is, I don't know, just much more exciting. You just have sales, marketing, operations, HR, just much more vibrant. Which verticals you recommend based on your student success stories? We have people who bought businesses in any sector you can think of. I think that there's a process to understand what is the best business for you, which we go through with our clients to figure out, based on your experience, background, etc., to find the best sector for you. But I think in the end of the day, I mean, you can make money in a lot of sectors. Like, I don't know if you guys heard about Chobani, the yogurt company in the US. That's a multi-billion-dollar company. Started with a guy who bought a business using SBA loan with none of his own money. And now it's a multi-billion-dollar company selling yogurt factory, right? So if I told you that before, that's the best sector for you, going and buying yogurt factories, you probably wouldn't really like that idea. But now when you hear that as a potentially, or there is a multi-billion-dollar company in that space that started with buying a business, no money down, it might make it a bit more interesting, right? Ahmed saying, what do you think about micro SaaS? I think SaaS companies are amazing. I think that if it's your first deal, it's going to be very challenging to buy those companies because you'll buy them at a multiple of revenues usually. You mentioned micro SaaS. So micro SaaS usually means that you're buying a company that is, it's not really a company in my mind. You're buying a one-man show, probably one guy who coded a company that is potentially a great company, but it's not really a business yet if it's just one person who's running it, which means that if you'll buy it, you won't buy a business, you'll buy a job inside of a business that you own, which is okay if that's what you want, but you just need to make sure that you understand that that's the situation. The event I mentioned was Dispenza workshop. You went there too and was going to ask how the work changed your life. Yeah, man, Joe Dispenza is my homie, man. I went to 2 of his events. Freaking amazing. I mean, change a lot of, and I'm still listening to his stuff whenever I can. I actually just bought his course. He just what do you call it? Like I think the formula. Yeah, that's the name of his course. But yeah, freaking love him and suggest and I highly recommend everyone to check his stuff. And many other great spiritual teachers out there definitely helped me in my journey 100%. So highly recommend him and anyone else that you might feel like you want to work with. Let me go back to Facebook now because you just reminded me. So what else we got here? Let me just see. Walter is asking, what if the buyer asks for money on escrow? Yeah, a lot of buyers might ask that. Oh, you're saying the buyer or the seller? I'm not understanding if you're selling the business or you're looking to buy the business. But I assume that if you're watching this video, you probably are potential buyer and the seller is asking for money in escrow. So it's a very common ask. either from the seller or brokers. Many times it just comes down to them not seeing you as a credible buyer because you're not sure how to position yourself. And then they're asking you those things because a lot of brokers are asking for money in escrow to begin with just to see financials or to make offers. It comes down to knowing how to position yourself as a credible buyer at the end of the day. Let me go back to this. Jebis is asking, and prospecting on care homes in the UK under a joint business venture, which is structured as seller finances, no money down. Awesome. Value is on me to execute on various plans for the business. Value is on me. I'm not sure I understand there's a question here, but it sounds like you're taking action. So good job, man. Hopefully my content helped. And yeah, for those of you who, I'm just curious if it's the first time that you are watching me or following me, or how you even heard about the live. I'm curious, what got you to even watch this live in the first place? Is it the first time you just uh, for some reason saw a notification, or you just got an email or something like that? I'm just curious how you got to the live, if you don't mind me asking and you don't mind sharing. Maybe I'll go through some of my notes. I'll just answer another one or two, and then I'll go to maybe some of my notes I want to share with you about the way that I'm looking at investments at this point. Um, Buying Subto creative real estate better than this, in my opinion. Subto. I don't know. I mean, show me Subto. I guess I don't think so. Like, show me someone who can make multiple seven figures uh, that fast with. It's sub to lease, I assume, right? That's what you mean. Yeah, I mean, I don't know personally anyone who made multiple seven figures from that, so that's why I think buying businesses is still the best way to start your to. I think it's the best way to literally jump between economic statuses like nothing else. Like, you want to jump between your current economic status to the next one, like to be like literally in the 1% of the wealthiest people in the world. There's nothing um, as fast. And again, I don't like to call it a get rich quick thing, but it's nothing as fast as buying businesses, period. How do you underwrite a business, and when can one learn the ins and outs? Yeah, that's a whole. I can talk about it forever, right? So literally, some of the things I just mentioned when I just started the call, maybe you just joined, are some of the things you want to start to think about, right? Like, what's the operations look like? Are they trying to be the best service, best product? What's the financials of the business looks like? Is it messy? Is it organized? Is it audited? What's the business looks like in general? How dependent the business is on the owner, suppliers, employees, one employer, one customer? What's the moat on the business? How easy it is to replicate that business for a competitor or someone new in the sector? What's the margin of safety for you or not? All those things you need to do as part of your underwriting. Some of them before you get an offer accepted, some of them after, some of them is being done by you, some of them can be done by advisors that you can hire on a contingency fee basis. So it's a whole lot of story I can talk about, right? How much recurring revenue the business have versus not. A lot of points you can look at to make sure that you buy a good business for a fair valuation, because that's what building wealth is all about. It's about buying ideally good business for a good price, right? For a cheap price, ideally. And you don't even need to look at it as a cheap price, because especially if you're using other people money or institutions, your cost of capital can be zero to very little. Like, for those of you who are looking in the US, like a lot of you familiar with the SBA loans, like, it's not uncommon to get 10x on your money if you're putting money alongside an SBA. And it's insane returns in very few short years. And if you don't have that money to use other capital structures to get access to that capital, is a great deal for any investor. And that's why I'm personally right now investing alongside our clients, because it can potentially be great return for my money as a passive investor. And when you understand that some people are out there looking to passively invest in deals, it will open your mind to the idea that if you find a good deal, you know how to find it, you know how to negotiate it. Ideally, you find a deal that is off market and not necessarily from brokers, because those are the real great deals. And you understand that there are people out there with capital. I mean, that's how you can really leverage yourself and your time and buy great businesses. A lot of things that I think I wanted to share that I thought about is the fact that a lot of people think they need to go into a business and immediately improve things and add things and do more sales and marketing to grow faster. But one of the things that people don't realize is that sometimes when you go into a business, by you removing things that are not productive, that are not important, you can actually do much better for yourself and the business. And I shared the story about a guy who went to a business and wanted to turn it around, and it was like $100 million business, and they brought him to turn around the business and improve the operation. And what he did, he found on the P&L of the business, one of the expenses was $250,000 to sponsor a giraffe. So guess what? That $250,000 for a random sponsoring of a giraffe can go down to your bottom line, to your profits. And $250,000, you should see it as not necessarily that you just got yourself $250,000 back. You actually got yourself like 5x of that. Because remember that in the exit, you're getting paid for multiples of your profits. So every dollar that you save now, if you're selling your business for 5x, that's $5 that you're saving at exit. So when you go into a business that you're buying, looking at things that you can save on to begin with is probably a better thing that you can do for yourself, your net worth, your shareholder value, because it's much easier than to come up with different marketing initiatives and sales processes. Much easier to just find out, lack of efficiencies in operations and just save on costs. So removing what isn't important is probably the best thing you can do in any business that you own, run, or about to buy. Let me go back to the questions. Okay, so I see some people telling me how they found the call. Sweet. So email, I just saw it on my feed, but I have been following you for a while. Sweet. Thank you. Hopefully you're getting value from the videos, guys. I received an email, reading your emails. Sweet. How much time do your clients usually take to close their first deal if they start from zero? It really depends. Everyone have a different learning curve, different understanding of business. We have people come to us with no business experience whatsoever. Literally, they never even saw a profit and loss statement or even talk to any business owner or were a business owner. And we have people who run in 7 and 8 figure businesses. So everyone have a different learning curve. That's the first thing. Everyone takes different time to go through the training materials. Some of them binge watch them like a TV show in a few days. Some of them take more time. Then I would say part of it is also luck, grace, whatever you want, God. Like we had a girl who bought a business in the first week of joining us. Some people take months. We just had a guy, just to give you an idea, who closed his first deal. It was his second one. I think it was in his 12 months or something like that of working with us. But then he closed the second one within a few weeks and is now a total 40 million a year in revenues within 2 deals that took him almost a year to close. And then when he did his first one almost a year, then the second one came really fast right after. So even if it takes you a year to close your first deal, so what? To buy a business that will do you a few million a year. Most businesses, if you go and read the stats in the US, 99% of businesses that start like startups never reach above $1 million a year in revenues. So even if it took you a year to buy a business doing like this guy is now, we bought 2 businesses doing 40 million a year in revenues within almost a year. So what if it took him almost a year? Heck, most businesses never reach 1 million in their lifetime. So even if it took you 5 years to buy just one business, you don't think it's worth to have that skill set of going out there and knowing how to find deals, negotiate deals, analyze deals, making offers, raising capital, finding advisors, accountants, lawyers on success fee? I think that skill set alone is worth it. Even if you're never thinking about buying a business, I think having and learning that skill set, even if you're thinking about or owning a business right now, is a skill that you all want to have. Because when you position yourself out there in the market as someone who can potentially buy a business, when people ask you what you do and you say, hey, I'm an investor, I'm looking to buy businesses, all your conversations are going to change. You'll see the world is going to look different to you. The everything, the all your conversations are going to change, because people are going to treat you seriously, look at you differently. They're going to respect you much more. um, and just the level of leverage and impact that you can have on the world eventually with having those conversations is just on a much higher, in a place that probably most of you are not even familiar with if you never had those conversations as a potential buyer. Plus, the seller will share with you more about their business than they will with anyone in the world. Like, you will learn more about business by having conversation with business owners. You learn more about business in a few months of talking to business owners than most people learn in their lifetime, because you will learn from someone who's actually running a successful business in a sector that you want to own. Versus most people out there in the world, they start startups, they follow books, but then they literally have so many trial and errors figuring out ideas in a business from scratch, and in businesses that never reach above 1 million. And what you're doing as a potential buyer is going out there to someone who's already making at least 1 million and asking him questions. So, you're asking questions, they'll tell you everything you need to know about a successful, profitable business that already exists for 5, 10, 20 years sometimes, that took him literally decades to build. It's like his baby, and he will share with you everything you need to know. You want to, hear about mentorship? That's the best mentorship you can ever get, from someone who's already running a business like the one you want to own, but you position yourself as a potential buyer of that business. Let me go through the questions. So yeah, see, we're almost at 45 minutes. So I'll answer two more questions, and we'll move on. So hopefully you're enjoying that. If you are, I'll try to do it on a regular basis. Yeah, but only if you're going to tell your friends. Share it. If you can share that video, it'll be awesome. Like, tell your friends and stuff like that, so there's more people knowing about those videos, and it will give me more motivation to do those calls. And by the way, at any point, I know some of you are asking, if you want to see what it looks like to work with us, for us to help you find deals, pick your sector, analyzing deals, raising capital, finding advisors, me potentially investing in your deals personally, go to acquisitions.com/apply. I'll put the link in the chat. And yeah, book a call with us. Let's see where you're at. Let's see where you want to be. Let's see what's holding you back. Let's see if we can support you or not. If we can, we'll let you know what it looks like to work with us. If not, we'll steer you. We'll send you to someone else who can potentially help you get to your goals. Yeah, Angela saying in the in the chat, the 2 deals was pounds. You're right. So it's 40 million pounds. So it's basically 55 million a year in revenues, US dollars. Not too bad. Chris saying would love to have it as a regular cadence. Yeah, I'll do my best. If you guys get any value from that, I'll see what we can do to continue with those. Let me go back to the chat and see if there's another question or two I can answer, and then for the rest of the questions, we'll try to save them for next week or something like that, and maybe start with them. Let's find a good question that will be valuable for everyone. Oh, sweet. I see Enrique. I'm going to answer Enrique because he's a superstar. I love your stuff, guys. Enrique. Okay, so the question is, what is the best way to prepare to buy a business? Personally, meaning savings, debt, current passive income. What is the ideal setup prior to taking on this venture? Really good question. First of all, Enrique, I think what you're doing is actually really, really smart. You're working in a great business that you're seeing that it is growing really fast. On a personal level, obviously, the better credit you have, the more savings you have, the more understanding you have about business, the better. But to be honest, I think the best thing you can really do for yourself mentally to get started with this process of buying businesses is to actually start the process of trying to buy a business. Like, learn the process, learn what it looks like to go out there and find deals off market, on market, learn what it looks like to have conversation with business owners, learn what it looks like to have conversation with banks, financial institutions, and investors. Learn what it looks like to talk to sellers and ask them about why they even want to sell the business. Like, just by you going through that process, and even if you're not necessarily sure that you want to buy a business yet, I think starting that process is the best thing you can do for yourself. Because I know that you're in sales, Enrique, right? So it's like someone will ask you, hey, what's the best thing I can do to get better at sales? Well, obviously you want to learn that process of learning the process of what it looks like to sell, right? By reading books, buying courses, seminars, or whatnot. But the best way for you to get better at sales is to actually jump on phone calls or was the best salesperson I knew in my lifetime was a guy who started his career as a door-to-door salesperson. And the way he learned that, obviously he had the training, he had the mentors and all that, but and he was from Canada. But what happened is literally he had a job where people threw him. He just had to go knocking door to door in Canada, like, and he needed to go like in the winter as well. And Canada in the winter, for those of you who are in Canada, is not really fun. And he had to learn. He had to go through that learning curve and grow through that hustle. And he's the best salesperson I ever met. I think much of it is because of that experience that he went through, which is brutal. Like, it's brutal to go door to door, knocking on random doors and trying to sell. Not easy, but that's what really, really grew him as a person, and that's how he became really, really successful after that. So, same here. I think the best way you want to learn how to buy a business, the best thing you can do is to start to talk to people who want to potentially sell their business. You will learn more in that process than probably a lot of things you can do just learn in theory. Same with raising capital. When I raise capital to close your deals, guess what's the best thing you can do is probably talk to financial partners, institutions, investors, other capital structures, and people you can talk to. So yeah, I think it's a great question to probably end with. I see another question because I think it's really important. Should we avoid businesses in distress? I think that if in your first deal, I wouldn't go in distress unless you really have a lot of background and experience in that sector. Just because I don't know if you just joined, but I think it's really, really important to go through that, because I literally had people come to me telling me, Moran, I wish I knew about you 6 months earlier, because I just saved my life savings on a distressed business, realizing that the business I bought is I'm not even talking about bringing me money, but the business is a business I need to redeploy capital again and again and again just to keep the business alive. So it's the last thing I want to happen to you guys. And I saw that message more than once. So I think hopefully it's a good note to end with, just to save you that burden and struggles that can happen. It's the last thing you want, because there's too many good profitable businesses out there that you can buy. So start with them, and your cost of capital will be sometimes the same. Then in your second, third, fourth deal, I think you can always do a distressed deal, because then you can just bring the assets that you want into your existing business, and there's only upside, especially if you don't have a cost to bring those assets to begin with. Yeah, so cool, guys. We'll end on that note. If you want to see what it looks like to work with us, go to acquisitions.com/apply. The link should be in the chat. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. If you do, let us know. Post, share it with your friends or whatnot, or anyone around. So it's definitely going to motivate me to do more of those, and we'll try to keep it on a regular basis if you like them. I hope you got any value from that, and have a great week, everyone. Take care.